Hi everybody, welcome to this starter solution for Cambridge's pre-release material for the May-June 2022 exam series for computer science. This is the scenario. I'm not going to explain the scenario in this video because that's going to just waste time. You need to take a look at the scenario, become familiar with it, and these videos will help you with your understanding as well. What I've done is I've taken all of this information, which is a little bit ugly and tricky to read for some of us, including me, and I've just turned it into a slightly more colorful and possibly easier to read web page. Okay, so it's up to you which document you want to use. They all contain the same information. Now, task 1 is to store and display all of the cost data in the wildlife park related to bookings by using arrays. Okay, so we're going to store all of the ticket type information and display it like this. Notice that I've broken up some of the information and included it as footnotes under the table. Okay, so this information in the original document is in the table, and I thought that was a bit ugly, so I took it out of the table to simplify it, and I'm going to put it as a note under the table. So we've got the ticket type table with notes, and we've got the extra attraction table with notes as well. Okay, so let's get programming. Open up your IDE. I've already broken this task into 4 subtasks. The first thing we want to do is store the ticket types and costs. The second thing we're going to do is store the extra attraction information and any notes. The extra attraction information. The third thing we're going to do is display all of this information that we have stored. And the fourth thing that we're going to do is display all of this stuff, which we've already stored. So let's get started. My approach to solving this problem for this set of data is to create 3 arrays. The first array will store the ticket type, 1 adult, 1 child, 1 senior, family ticket, etc. The second array will store the cost for 1 day, 20, 12, 16, blah, blah, blah. And the third array will store the 5 values for the cost for 2 days. So let's get started with that. The first array, I'm going to call it ticket type. And it is an array of, well, these are strings, right? Strings. So we've got 5 strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first string is 1 adult. The second string is 1 child. The third string is 1 senior. And the fourth string is family ticket. And the final one is groups. Okay, and I'll do the next one and you can do the third one. The next array is telling us the costs for 1 day. So I'm just going to call this array 1 day cost. And it's an array of... Are we going to use an array of strings? Because if we include that $, we need to do this. This is a string. If I only want to store the number, I could just do this. So I've reached my first decision. Am I going to store this information as a string or as a number? Do I even need to store these 2 zeros? Because we're going to do calculations with this information later to calculate the cost of a booking, I'm just going to store the numbers. And we'll find out a way to display that this number means $1. We'll talk about that later. So I'm just going to store these 5 values as numbers. Sorry, the first one is 20. 0.00. The second one is 12.00. Do I need these zeros? I don't know. Let's just continue for now. 16.00. 60.00. And the final 5th value is 15.00. 0, 0. So there's the 1 day cost table. You can do the 2 day cost one yourself. And you can choose if you want to do it as strings or as numbers. Up to you. But it will impact processing later in the project. I do recommend you just store it as a number. So you do the third one. I'm going to move on to storing the extra attraction information. So I'll do the first one. It's just the same, guys. We're going to create an array called extra. I'm just going to call it attraction. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's just a variable name. This is going to be an array of 3 strings. And the first one is lion feeding. The second one is penguin feeding. Should we capitalize that? The second one is penguin feeding. And the third one is evening barbecue. Okay, so you can do the cost per person one. Okay, again, you'll need to consider if you want to store the data as a string or as a number. Again, I do recommend numbers, but I might be wrong. Okay, you need to make that decision. Now we're going to display the ticket types and costs. The first thing I'm going to do is just display these column headers, because I didn't store them in the arrays. The reason for that really is this is a string, but this is a number. We can't store different data types in an array, so I didn't do that. This is what I'm going to do instead. Print. I like to use the printf option. The first column header is ticket type. What should we use as a separator? Should we use just a colon or something? Then we've got cost. I'm just going to reduce these headers. I'm just going to call it 1 day cost, just to keep things simple and easy. 2 day cost. Okay, I'm just trying to simplify a few things in the display so there's not so much text on the screen. It means the same thing. It's okay. Let's just run that and see what it looks like. Yeah, okay. I'm not really a fan of using that as a separator. Oh, I've got an idea. This is something that I found out the other day. Let's change that to be a tab, which is \T on your keyboard. That will give you a tab. And let's see what that looks like. So, do you see that tab? Just gives you a nice space between things, okay? So those are the column headers. I'm now going to use a for loop to process these 2 arrays. Remember, we're displaying the ticket types and notes. And remember that each of these arrays in this set of data has 5 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's really convenient because we can do this. Whoops. We're in the display section now, aren't we? For I in range 5, we're going to do something 5 times. We're going to print F. Now what we're going to do is we're going to print the ticket type information first. So that's going to be ticket type I. And because it's a variable, we need to put it into curly brackets if we're using the F option. So the name of the array is ticket type, and the control variable is I. Then I'm going to use that tab, and then I'm going to display the 1 day cost. So this is a variable. It's coming from the 1 day cost array. And then hopefully you'll figure out how to do the 2 day cost thing, and you can add that to this print statement. Now let's just have a look at how this works. When I is 0, ticket type I, ticket type 0 is 1 adult. And 1 day cost 0 is 20. So there's a connection. Do you see the connection? 1 adult, the 1 day cost is 20, and the 2 day cost is 30. 1 adult, 20, 30. When I becomes 1, ticket type 1 is one child. This is element 1. And 1 day cost is 12. So one child, 12. Is that right? One child, 12. There you go. So that works. And you'll have to figure out how to add on the other information. So let's just run that. Oh, it works. One adult is 20 for 1 day. One senior, is that right? One senior is 16. One senior is 16. Yes. Oh, I tell you what. For 1 day cost and 2 day cost, let's just include that the currency is dollars. Let's put that information up there. So the 1 day cost is dollars and the 2 day cost is also represented by dollars. So because we've done that, we can store the actual values as numbers. And when we run the program, when we see the number, we know that it's dollars. Oh, there's just one more thing before we go. This hasn't tabbed properly. I think this groups word is too short. I'm not sure how we can fix that. Let's just add some spaces there. Let's push that out a bit. Let's run it again. Okay, so that worked. Those spaces have pushed the tab. Okay, so that's a starter to this problem of storing and displaying the data. Display the table. Then you'll have to display the notes. Then you'll have to display the next table. And then you'll have to display that final note if you want to follow this approach to the solution.